What's the best job for a lazy person? Not overnight, but the most pointless job I ever encountered was at an Asian grocery and kitchen store in Chinatown in NYC. There was a basement level with its own checkout, but they no longer use it. One guy's job was to sit at the lower level checkout, and when guests came up to pay, he told them, by pointing, to use the first floor checkout. The guy on the surveying crew has the job of watching a surveying GPS unit all day. He gets dropped off with the unit, sets it up and sits there and makes sure it doesn't get stolen and that the blue light is still on. That's all he does every day, day after day. He thinks his job is the greatest thing ever. Back in college, I was a computer lab monitor. I just had to sit in the lab, and once every hour count the number of people there. If I was opening or closing the lab, there was about 15 minutes of work for that, but otherwise I could just surf the web or do my homework. I had this job in college. I did two things. Toward the end of the term, periodically yell. If you are on Bebo, Facebook, or any other non-academic site, please make room for students that need a computer. The printer also had a green button that needed to be pressed once a paper tray was depleted so it would draw from the other tray. There was a sign above the printer that said this, a sign on the printer that said this, and a sign by the queue to the printer. Still, I'd constantly have to deal with this issue. The printer's not working. Did you press the green button? Yes. So if I go over there and press the green button, nothing will happen? Yes. Inevitably I press the green button and it would start printing away. I still have no idea why this would always happen. The failure to read and then the lying about having pressed the button. But as far as jobs go, this was pretty sweet. Though more busy than a parking lot security guard, which is what I came in here to suggest. I worked as a security guard for a trucking company on the weekends. The rest of the company conveniently didn't work weekends, so I had the whole place to myself. I worked 12-hour days and walked around a small wing of the property every hour and documented anything that was out of the ordinary. Almost nothing was ever out of the ordinary. Other than that, I didn't do anything. It was actually really boring because the guardhouse was outside of the Wi-Fi area, so I blew through my phone data really fast. To cure boredom and ease my phone bill, I bought a portable DVD player and watched every DVD I had. Sysadmin, I hate my life. I've automated 85% of my job. I'd be shocked if I worked more than 4 hours on an average week. It sounds great, but it's boring sitting here surfing tomorrow's Reddit today. Security guard. Source: been on Reddit the whole shift. I'm a backstage doorman at a Broadway theater. I sit around watching Netflix and Hulu and all that sh all day. If I'm feeling ambitious, I'll read a book or write some stand-up material. It's a pretty sweet gig and perfect for the laziest of people. A lot of IT-related office jobs at big companies involve a lot of downtime for one reason or another, where you're just sitting around waiting for work to come in. Just be careful what you wish for. I did a 6-month work placement at a place doing QC on medical data entry. It was as riveting as it sounds. And due to poor management, there were massive stretches of time, like more than a solid week, where there was nothing for us to do. We were literally begging for work because we were so bored. If someone had asked me to start hoovering the carpets, I would have jumped at the chance. Creative IT jobs like the video games and special effects industries are major exceptions. The person that sits on a chair in the museum. They just sit there in one of the most quiet places I visit. And when a person stands too close to an artwork, they just cough a little and tell you to step back. I used to go to the factory where they make giant rotating machinery for power plant generators. It would take a week or more to machine these giant discs, and the machinist just sat there watching this giant, computer-operated machine do all the work. If an error popped up, the machine would stop, sound an alarm on the computer, and the machinist would pick up the phone and call an engineer to come fix it. Also, they didn't do any of the removal or setup. That was done by a team of engineers and transport folks. $30 per hour. Find a remote data entry job and outsource it to someone who will do it for cheaper. Let them do your job and just collect the difference. Copy editor. You can pretty much work out of your own home and be a professional grammar Nazi. Pay is made, but it's really not bad once you build up a client base, since you can literally sit on your ass for hours if your grasp on the language is strong. I'm an analyst. I taught myself a bunch of stuff, and spent a bunch of time automating things because I'm too lazy to do them every day/week/month. My job. I make the ballistic fiber that goes in bulletproof vests. I basically just watch movies and play on my phone all day long while the machine runs. As long as everything goes smoothly, I have around 5 minutes of work to do every hour and a half whenever the machines is ready to run new packages. And I'm on break half of the day too, because we do 1 hour on the floor, then swap out with our relief for an hour. So every other hour you're on break for an hour. And I have a 2-hour lunch. I make $30.23 an hour and all the overtime I want. I worked as a security guard for a few years. Their policy was going around the perimeter of the plaza twice per shift. It took about 30 minutes each, and they don't care what you do for the rest of it. So really you're getting paid by simple scarecrowing around and scaring off potential beggars or hobos only an hour of your 8 hours shift. While it wasn't high pay, the expectations are so low that it sort of justified it. Not all security areas are the same. I worked at a pool the summer after my senior year of high school. I wasn't a lifeguard, I just had to have the person show me their Navy card to get in the pool. And I had to check the pH levels of the pool at the end of every day. Only had to text my boss, could be on my phone the whole day, chilled with my then girlfriend, and ate food. Didn't even have to clock out for lunch and got an extra half an hour every day. The downside was working in the hot sun. You'd be under an umbrella, but the job could get boring. Edit. I should also add most of my friends were Navy kids whose mothers or fathers were working, so I would be able to chill with them all day too because it was their neighborhood. All in all, pretty good gig if you're lazy. Edit 2. Also one time me and my friends were there and there was a live skunk in the pool filter. He was trying to swim, so we took a pool net and gently pushed him into it and let him down in the grass outside. He was just laying on his back panting frantically, then he jumps up and runs in the woods. I have it on film on my old iPhone. Edit 3. Wow, 1.6k more people like this job than I thought. Guys, you really don't want to work at a pool now. Hurricane debris cleanup crew safety monitor. This won't apply to you unless you live in a place where you are hit by hurricanes at least once a year and don't minding working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. I promise you that 10 of those 12 hours per day will be spent sitting there, doing nothing, playing games on your phone if the battery lasts long enough. I switched to crossword puzzles to try and save my battery. Keep in mind this job only exists immediately after a hurricane hits and then for about 4 or 5 months afterwards, depending on the strength of the hurricane. You will get time and a half on the final 44 hours of the week, so you essentially get paid for the work of someone who has 2 decent entry-level jobs without actually performing anywhere near that amount of work. Truck driving. And not in a bad way. I drove a semi for a few years after the military, and it is by far the best job for low-energy introverts. You get paid to do nothing other than stare out a window and listen to music/podcasts/radio. You have to get out every now and then for work, but you won't be doing any back-breaking work and it won't be longer than 10-15 minutes at most. Best job if you like to be alone and not really have to do anything. Plus it pays really well. Like and subscribe for more content. And remember to check out Reddit.